Jai Sri Krishna. And Wednesday is Yog Vashishta day. So I want to remind you, and if you don't remember, just go back for the last week's audio. And you remember that they told us that there was a great forest. There was it was huge, and there was a man with 1,000 arms and limbs, and he was forever restless. He had a mace in his hand with which he beat himself, and afraid of the beating, he ran away in panic. He fell into a blind well. He came out of it again, beat himself, and again ran away in panic, this time into a forest. He came out of it again, beat himself, and again ran away in panic, this time into a banana grove. Though there was no other being to fear, he wept and cried aloud in fear. He kept running as before, beating himself as before. And as I told you, it's not difficult to understand that he's talking about the world. But today, he is going to see, will tell you the symbolism. So we are on page 86 of the Supreme Yoga, Yog Vashishta by Swami Venkatesananda. And it tells me it's the 26th March. So let me read. It is now self-explanatory because it's going to be the symbolism. O Rama, this great forest is not far away, nor is that strange man in a strange land. The world itself is the forest. It is a great void. But this void is seen only in the light of inquiry. This light of inquiry is the I in the parable. The wisdom is accepted by some and rejected by others who continue to suffer. They who accept it are enlightened. Because then you see the truth, you see who you are really. Remember, Raman Maharishi keeps saying, who am I, who am I, who am I? The person with 1,000 of arms is the mind with countless manifestation. This mind punishes itself by its own latent tendencies and restlessly wanders in this world. The blind well in the story is hell, and the banana grove is heaven. The dense forest of thorny bush is the life of a worldly man, with numerous thorns of wife, children, wealth, etc., hurting him all the time. The mind now wanders into hell, now into heaven, and now into the world of human beings. Even when the light of wisdom shines on the life of the deluded mind, it foolishly rejects it, considering that the wisdom is its enemy. Considering that wisdom is its enemy, then it weeps and wails in distress. See, there are so many rishis telling us this. Don't waste your time. Live the world, live your life, but there's so much more to life to get than just your material objects. Sometimes it experiences an imperfect awakening and it renounces the pleasures of the world without proper understanding. Such renunciation itself proves to be a great source of sorrow. But when such renunciation arises out of the fullness of understanding or wisdom born of inquiry into the nature of the mind, the renunciation leads to supreme bliss. Such a mind may even look at its own past notions of pleasure with puzzlement, just as the limbs of the person as they were cut away fell down and disappeared. The latent tendencies of the person who wisely renounces the world also vanish from the mind. Behold the play of ignorance which makes one hurt oneself out of one's own volition and which makes one run hither and thither in meaningless panic. When one who gains wisdom preserves it for a long time and persists in the practice of inquiry, he does not experience sorrow. An uncontrolled mind is the source of sorrow. When it is thoroughly understood, the sorrow vanishes like mist at sunrise. The absolute Brahman is omnipotent, and there is nothing which is outside of it. It is his own power or energy that pervades all things. In embodied beings, it is the Chit Shakti, the power of consciousness or intelligence. It is motion in air, stability in earth, void in space, and it is the power of self-consciousness, I am, in created beings. Yet all this is nothing but the power of the absolute Brahma. Like how we've been hearing that everything is nothing but absolutely pure consciousness. The instruments of action and the doer, birth, death, and existence, all this is Brahman. Nothing else is. Even in imagination, delusion, craving, greed, and attachment are non-existent. How can they exist when there is no duality? When bondage is non-existent, surely liberation is false too. Oh dear, now he says when bondage is non-existent, then even liberation is false. There is nothing but that pure consciousness, I believe. So until we get there, and thank you for listening to me. As I said, you will be understanding more and more. I'm sure you understood today's lesson. If you don't, you know you can always call me up. But until next time, you take care and God bless.